Coming up on Sports Paws, the women's basketball team spent the weekend in Virginia as they tipped off against Richmond and Hampton.
And the men's ice hockey team hosted Harvard and Dartmouth this past weekend in 2 key ECAC games. We'll bring you those highlights and more.
And as always, we bring you these top 5 plays of the week. Don't go anywhere. Sports Paws starts right now.
Good evening and welcome into Studio 125 for the final Sports Paws of the semester. I'm Drew Feinberg.
And I'm Matt Halpin. And Drew, it's a little too cold for my taste, but one thing that I do love about this time of year is that the winter sports season is in full swing, so let's start on the ice. The Quinnipiac women's hockey team took to the road this weekend where they would face Harvard on Friday and Dartmouth on Saturday. The Bobcats beat the Crimson by a score of 2-1 when they met earlier in the year in Hamden. The Bobcats were able to complete the season sweep as they won by the same score as earlier this season, 2-1. Brooke Bonsteel led the charge for Quinnipiac. The freshman netted 2 goals in the contest. After dealing away with Harvard, the Bobcats hopped on I-93 and traveled to Hanover, New Hampshire to face the Dartmouth Green Wave. The Green Wave entered the game 1-5 in ECAC play with their only other win coming against Quinnipiac. Let's see how Quinnipiac would respond at Dartmouth. So we're going to take you to Hanover, New Hampshire right now. Like I said, Quinnipiac 0-1 on the season against Dartmouth, a team that has been struggling. Look at that, right through the legs. That's the first play of the game that we're going to take a look at, but unfortunately would not score there for them. Second period now. Here comes Abby Cleary. Not one save. That first one's a little easy, but the second one, absolutely great save by Honor, the goalie for Dartmouth. Later that period, Sarah Ev Kotu-Godbout with an absolute snipe. They say if you see an opening in the net, just take it. She does just that. Quinnipiac's going to take the lead. Great goal.
That's crazy.
But there's more. And that one is just a little deflection, but it means the world to Quinnipiac as it will go past Honor. Yet another goal for Quinnipiac. Going into the third period now. We're going to see Tess Bracken, another snipe. Just wow. I mean, this game was full of great shots, even though there weren't a lot of goals. I mean, didn't even see that one. We're going to see here the final seconds ticking down. Empty net, no goal. Quinnipiac's going to take that one 2-1.
Now let's take a look at the ECAC women's hockey standings. Clarkson, Cornell, and Quinnipiac all tied for first in the rankings. RPI, Harvard, and St. Lawrence next in the standings, all with 9 points in the conference. With a weekend series versus Princeton next weekend, the Bobcats will look to continue the team's hot streak in conference play. And now we'll take a look at the USCHO.com poll as of today. Quinnipiac, as you see, did not receive any votes in the top 10. Wisconsin, as you can see right there, still holds the top ranking with 150 points, and they received all first place votes. And
it's a big weekend for Quinnipiac. You think that they would at least maybe get some votes. You know, that's a little disappointing for the Bobcats.
Yeah, of course.
But let's move on to the men's side. It's been a tough season for the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team. This weekend they tried to build off their 6-2 win against Princeton on Tuesday. The Bobcats would host the Harvard Crimson, another mid-division team that's been struggling this year. Let's take a look as the Bobcats would try to get revenge for last year's ECAC semifinal. We're going to go into the first period. Quinnipiac already up off of a goal from Nick Germain, but Harvard's going to respond very quickly, and Andrew Shortridge just cannot even see that puck as the defenseman is going to be screening him right in front of the net. This one bad turnover by the Quinnipiac defense going to result in good composure and a great goal.
Great celly, too.
Yeah, great celly, too. Harvard will lead 2-1. Very late in the period now. How about another one? Another snipe. I mean, we've been seeing them all show, so why not another one? Just toying with Quinnipiac at this point, 3-1 going into the second period.
Great patience. Great patience.
Into the third period. I'm sorry about that. So third period, we're going to go. Quinnipiac's going to get one more goal. Going to make it 3-2. Looking to inch their way back into this game, as we're going to see in a second. Not going to fly, though, as Harvard is just going to take control of this game. Shortridge having trouble stopping the wraparound and moving across the crease there. Tough one, takes a hit, makes the play. Great goal. Full ice, empty net goal as the score is 4-2. Going to make it 5, and one more is going to make it 6 as Quinnipiac drops this one.
Team tied the Dartmouth Big Greens 0-0. Myself and men's hockey beat reporter Kyle Levasseur discussed the matchup postgame in the rebound. Here at the Frank Perotti Junior Arena, where the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team tied 0-0 to Dartmouth College. Drew Feinberg alongside Kyle Levasseur, and Kyle, head coach Rand Pecknold said that his team played very well in this game. However, with 43 shots, there was no goal to be found at the end of the game. What did you see from the Bobcats?
Well, you might look at the box score at the end and see that it was a 0-0 tie. But in my mind, Quinnipiac really dominated the play on the ice offensively. You'll look at the stats. They win the face-off battle 48-27 against Dartmouth. They put on 43 shots on net. Luckily for Dartmouth, they have a goaltender in Adrian Clark that really just stole the show for the Big Green and kept them in this game, sent it to overtime where they were able to take away a point for ECAC play. So even though they couldn't find the back of the net, which they need to eventually if they want to start winning games in conference play, they were doing all the little things that set them up really well offensively.
Kyle, you mentioned Adrian Clark for Dartmouth. Yesterday, Dartmouth lost 9-2 against Princeton, a team Quinnipiac did beat 6-2 earlier last week. But, I mean, he was on his game today. 43 saves. What did you see from Clark today?
My goodness, what a difference 24 hours can make, Drew, because yesterday he plays Princeton, lets up 5 goals, and only makes 7 saves. Today he goes out there, puts on a shutout, 43 saves. So what a difference there. But it goes back also to the lack of a go-to goal scorer for Quinnipiac. There should be guys out there like Landon Smith and Alex Whalen who combined put 11 shots on net out of the 43 for the Bobcats. That they just need to finish, especially late in the games late in the game when they had the power play a couple times. There just seemed to be a couple opportunities. They hit 3 or 4 posts throughout the game that they need to find the back of the net.
Dartmouth found themselves on the man advantage for 11 minutes in this one. However, Quinnipiac were able to kill off all 4 penalties. Kyle, the Bobcats seem to be getting themselves into many major penalty situations this season, but seem to get out of every single one. How important do you think the penalty kill is for the Bobcats going forward?
Yeah, they definitely rise to the occasion when they're faced with a 5-minute major. We saw it in the Yale game. It was really the turning point in the game where they ended up scoring 2 more goals after that. And today, again, it just seemed like they weren't going to lose after they killed that 5-minute major. Good job by them. Captain and defenseman Chase Prisky says you're really just fighting with your brothers out there, fighting for your lives. And when you have Andrew Shortridge in that, good things are going to happen.
The Bobcats will host the Black Bears of Maine next Friday and Saturday, looking to bounce back from this 0-0 tie in overtime. From the Frank Perotti Junior Arena, alongside Kyle Levasseur, I'm Drew Feinberg, Q30 Sports.
Drew, it wasn't a very eventful game, but one thing that did come in hot was Dartmouth's Twitter, at Dartmouth_MIH, even went as far as to poke fun of the mood at Toad's Place after the game, but they really, you know, in a game where not a lot happens, you kind of just have to toy them. You see super long name for the new Quinnipiac Arena, and you're seeing here, I mean, you know, in a game where not a lot happens, you just kind of have to make fun out of it, so.
Hey, why not? Why not? This one's my favorite. I love the Frank Perotti Junior Arena at the TD Bank Sports Center, at the York Hill campus, at Quinnipiac University. I just love it.
Quite a mouthful. I'm surprised that fit into the character limit.
Oh, goodness.
But as we approach the halfway point of the college hockey season, our very own MJ Baird is going to deal the Quinnipiac men's hockey team their midterm grades. Let's take a look.
Gentlemen, thank you. The Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team sits at 9th in the ECAC through 9 conference games, that is. And I'm going to take you through the 3 biggest facets of the game. That's offense, defense, and goaltending, and give my grades for where I think the team is so far through the season. So we'll start with offense. And if you know anything about Quinnipiac men's ice hockey, you probably know that they often outshoot their opponents. I mean, this year alone, they've only been outshot in 2 games. They always, or almost always, outshoot their opponents. So it's no surprise that they lead the ECAC in shots and that they're 6th in the nation in shots. So I don't think putting shots on net is the issue here for the Quinnipiac offense. However, I think it comes down to converting those shots into goals, getting quality shot attempts. I mean, they're 7th in the conference in goals per game average, that is, and 44th in the nation out of 60 teams. That's really, frankly, not that good for a team that's putting that many shots on goal. And I think with only 1 goal scorer that has more than 5 goals, and that's Alex Whalen, Quinnipiac really needs its forwards to step up. So I think Quinnipiac offense gets a C for this far through the year. Now moving on to the defensive side of things, I'm gonna bring up a stat here. It's called the Fenwick stat, and this is a stat in college hockey that tracks the number of unblocked shot attempts a team either puts on net, or if you look at it from the defensive side, like I'm going to, how many unblocked shot attempts a team allows. So Quinnipiac is giving up the 15th fewest unblocked shot attempts in college hockey this year. That's a really good number if you think about it. That means a lot of the time, either they have forwards blocking shots or traffic contesting these shots that their opponents are taking. And this makes sense. Quinnipiac's known for its shot blocking, but so far through this year, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team has given up a lot of odd man rushes, breakaways even, and here's where I think that stems from. I mean, I just talked about how they're struggling to score goals. Quinnipiac has a plethora of offensively talented defensemen, so they're being forced to step up and join the rush, join the play, and then therefore on the defensive side of things, if there's a quick turnover in the offensive zone, they put their defense and in turn their goaltender in vulnerable positions, and I think that's kind of where these odd man rushes and eventual opponent goals are stemming from. So for defense, I'm going to give them a C as well. Now, moving on to the goaltending. I'm going to go out and give the Quinnipiac goaltenders, mostly Andrew Shortridge because he started the majority of the games here. I'm going to give him an A- because when you look at their stats, it's really pretty good. And the only thing that's kind of a concern or people might contest the A- rating would be the record. He's 5-6-2. But look at the rest of his stats. He's number 8 in the nation, 1.98 goals against average, .921 save percentage in 13 games played with 3 shutouts. I mean, he's been good. But really, he hasn't, reaped the benefits of wins just because the way the team has been struggling as a whole. That's all I have for the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team grades this season. Gentlemen, back to you at the desk.
We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we will bring you this past week's men's basketball coverage.
And we bring in men's basketball beat reporter Sierra Goodwill. We'll be back. Stay with us.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. QCash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Sports Paws is brought to you by Custom Cakes by Steve. If you can dream it, we can bake it.
Welcome back and thanks for sticking with us. The men's basketball team came into this weekend's home matchup against UMass with a 5-game losing streak. New head coach Baker Dunleavy and his squad looked to turn things around against the Minutemen last weekend. Q30's Chris Stacy has the story.
2 teams, 2 new head coaches. For UMass, it was Matt McCall, and for Quinnipiac, it was Baker Dunleavy. But on this day, junior guard Aaron Robinson stole the show in the 68-66 win for the Bobcats.
I think it's just a testament to, I was talking to coach in the beginning of the season, and he was just telling me to just stay ready, because it's a long season. You never know, things change all the time. So I just tried to keep my head on straight and just stay in the gym and keep working. I knew my moment was going to come, and once it did, I just wanted to take advantage of it.
Robinson was starting to see more minutes in the Paradise Jam, and Dunleavy said he earned his minutes in practice.
So he just kept earning it in practice, and when we went down to Virginia, got some opportunities and really just brought it. I was really excited with his energy that he brought, and you need that off the bench.
As for the game itself, it was close throughout, and it came down to free throws at the end for Quinnipiac.
And for a team that has been struggling from the free throw line the past couple of games, they were 12 for 14 in the second half and hit 4 big free throws at this basket. It was Rich Kelly and Cam Young who sealed the deal for the Bobcats late.
We were as close to 40 minutes as we've been all year, regardless of win or loss. So we beat Dartmouth, but we actually played better today, whether we won or lost, than we did against Dartmouth.
The Bobcats look to play another 40 minutes on Saturday as they travel to play Lafayette. Reporting from Lender Court, Chris Stacy, Q30 Sports.
The Bobcats traveled to the Big and now we're going to take a look at as the men's basketball team takes on Lafayette at Lafayette. Now in the first half, Quinnipiac down 10-8. Lafayette's Palias Zales is going to drive to the basket, get the foul, but him and Chase Daniels are going to have some words after the play. I'm sure things were fixed after that. Still in the first half, game tied 18-18. Matt Klinuski is going to pass to E.J. Stevens, who's going to fade away and drain the three. Lafayette takes a 21-28 lead over Quinnipiac. Still in the first half, Quinnipiac on a 6-0 run. Rich Kelly drives to the basket, which finds Aaron Robinson, who finds Jacob Bergoni, who drains it from downtown. And now we're going to take it to the second half. Lafayette with a 36-30 lead. Justin Jurowski passes it to Klinuski, who is going to drain from the three-point line, making a 10-0 run for Lafayette. Still in the second half, Quinnipiac trying to make a comeback. Aaron Robinson gets the steal, his first dunk of his career. And at the end of the second half, Quinnipiac down 71-58. Zales passed it to Stevens. He drains it, and Quinnipiac will fall to Lafayette 79-58. And the Bobcats traveled to the Big Apple to take on Columbia in an out-of-conference matchup tonight. The game was tied 87-87 on the final possession when Rich Kelly, who loves causing drama, put the team on his back, driving to the basket and getting a layup to go with just under 5 seconds to go. Kelly led all scorers with 22 points and was 6 from 8 from 3. Fellow freshman Jacob Bergoni was also on fire from the three-point line, dropping 20 points and going 4 from 6 from the line. Baker Dunleavy and his squad will travel to play the University of Hartford on Thursday.
We're now joined by Quinnipiac men's basketball beat reporter Sierra Goodwill. Thanks for joining us, Sierra.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Sierra, over the past few weeks, a big question has been how this team will gel and grow together, but what is the biggest development thus far on the season for you?
Well, Matt, it has to be Aaron Robinson. You know, this is a player who played just 74 minutes in his first 2 seasons, only saw playing time in 10 out of 61 games. He didn't even play in the first 3 games of this season, but now he's got over 100 minutes in the past 6 games and was a huge factor in Quinnipiac's big win over UMass, you know, one of the most established programs in New England. And when you put him on the court, you get size, athleticism, and shooting abilities. And with Quinnipiac's 4-guard lineup, he really can be a help down low, take some of the pressure off Chase Daniels and grabbing rebounds. If he works on grabbing boards, he can be a huge asset defensively for the Bobcats. And obviously another asset that he has when he's on the court is his court vision and connection with twin brother Andrew. They've been playing together their entire lives. Andrew is one of the best three-point shooters on the team, and no one can find him better behind the arc than his brother Aaron. So a lot of positives to having him out on the floor, and has been a really good player for the Bobcats as of late.
Now, Sierra, I know it's early in the season, and it's usually tough when a new head coach comes into the program, but what do you think is the reason for a lack of consistency early on?
Well, you see it a lot in sports, you know, teams playing to their competition, and I've seen that a little bit with this men's basketball team. You know, they played a complete 40-minute performance against Dartmouth, the first game of the season, UMass, a great team, and pretty darn close to a 40-minute performance against Colorado if they had just made their free throws there at the end. But then they play badly against Brown, who was picked last in the Ivy League preseason, and then had an embarrassing loss, quite frankly, to Maine, who was 349th out of 351 teams in field goal percentage coming into that game. I think this team rides on emotional highs and lows, and that's something Baker Dunleavy has preached since being the head coach here, is attitude. Not getting too high or too low when you're up or down in games, and that's something this team has to work on going forward. Obviously, the consistency issues can also be a little bit of Dunleavy figuring out his lineup, who he wants to play, how many guys he wants to play, and now I think he's kind of got a grip on that, and you'll see these consistency issues kind of iron themselves out heading into MAC play.
Sierra, there's now 3 games left until conference play starts for this Quinnipiac team. How do you think the Bobcats will finish their non-conference schedule?
Well, definitely an impressive win tonight against Columbia, something you maybe weren't expecting. Huge performances from the freshmen Jacob Rigoni and Rich Kelly. But now, next they have Hartford on Thursday. In this game, they should win pretty easily. I mean, they lost to Ryder 89-53. That's a blowout. Ryder was picked to finish 7th in the MAC preseason polls, so there's not that much of a difference between talent-wise between Quinnipiac and Ryder. So I think if Quinnipiac rides the momentum from this Columbia game, that's a win over the Hawks. And then Drexel. This game can kind of go either way. Maybe Drexel's a little bit more talented on paper, but like I said, Quinnipiac plays better when they're playing better teams. So that could go either way. And then they have Vermont as their last non-conference game of the year, and they've been America East power. They took number 4 Kentucky down to the wire, so that's a loss. Chalk up a loss of that. So either finishing their non-conference schedule 4-8 or 5-7, that's definitely nothing to hang their heads about.
Sierra, pleasure as always. Thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem.
MAC play is approaching fast, and with a lot of new talent on this team, we took to Twitter and asked our viewers which newcomer will be the most important to the men's basketball team going forward. And we're going to see here Rich Drama Kelly.
Richie Drama.
Just undoubtedly the leader in this one. I was a little surprised. You know, Isaiah Washington, very experienced player. You know, he could bring a lot to the table. Rigoni as well. You know, very tall player and can certainly create a lot of trouble in the post.
I mean, all 3 of these guys could knock down the jumper and the 3-ball, but as we saw tonight, Kelly, the numbers show. He gets it done.
Absolutely.
He gets it done, puts the team on his back tonight.
Big situations. Richie Drama.
Richie Drama.
We're going to take one last commercial break, but when we come back, we recap the women's basketball team's weekend in Virginia.
And as always, we bring you this week's top 5 plays. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Coming up on #that, we talk about some fun events around Quinnipiac's campus.
And we talk about some weird news that's been discussed around Twitter.
All that and more, we are your source for Quinnipiac's entertainment news.
Whether you're on the quad, in your room,
or heading to class,
tune in to Q30 News.
for stories by student journalists you can trust.
We are covering the latest here on campus and in surrounding areas. Get the news you need to know every Wednesday night.
Hello, and tonight on Sandwich News, we will determine what makes a good sandwich and a bad sandwich. First, the standard sandwich. Uninspired, and frankly, a little gross. But we have here a Ray and Mike sandwich, the Cadillac of sandwiches. And if you want one, well,
come on down to Ray and Mike's at 3030 Whitney Ave, Hamden, Connecticut. Open every day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Qcash is accepted.
now that's a sandwich.
Sports Paws is brought to you by Custom Cakes by Steve. If you can dream it, we can bake it. Welcome back, and thanks for sticking with us. The Quinnipiac women's basketball team has had an early season full of travel, and this weekend was no different. They ventured to Richmond on Friday to battle the Richmond Spiders. Let's now take a look at the highlight as the Bobcats look up to pick up their 3rd straight win. And now we will take it now to the first half. In the first quarter, Paula Stroutmane is going to do a nice move, get to the paint, and a nice bank shot off the glass. Still the first quarter. Jen Fay is going to find Carly Fabry. Drano, still first quarter. Bobcats, great transition. Ball gets down to Erin McClure, and she does the rest. Second quarter now. Fay's going to miss the jumper, and Vanessa Udoji is going to land awkwardly on her leg. She would have to leave the game. You see her teammates there consoling her. Second quarter now. Kaylin Fee. Ooh, Steph Curry range right there, way downtown. Second half now, third quarter. Amy Duggan's going to drive to the basket and make, well, that looks much harder than she made it look. That went in. And look how high this layup goes. I think it's still going up, Matt. Fourth quarter now, McClure. Defenders who? She gets right past and makes the basket. Great drive. Sarah Schuin also gets it to go, but she comes up injured on this play. And in the fourth quarter, Erin McClure also goes down with an injury, but that will not stop the Bobcats as they win their 3rd consecutive game.
We're going to see here in a second women's basketball beat reporter Josh Silverman breaking the news. You saw it in that highlight. 2 very important Quinnipiac players, Sarah Schuin and Vanessa Udoji, were injured in the game against Richmond. The Bobcats would have to play Hampton the next day without them. Wouldn't make a difference, though, as the Bobcats would edge Hampton 64-58. The Pirates cut down the lead to as low as 2 in the final minutes, but it wouldn't be enough. Quinnipiac moves to 4-3 on the season with 4 games remaining until MAC play begins.
And now, Matt, it's time for my favorite part of the show, top 5 plays of the week. Are you ready to go?
Oh, absolutely.
You take the odds, I'll take the evens this time.
Alrighty then, we will start in a second at number 5, and I'm just going to tell you right now, you've seen this one before. Here we go, number 5. It's going to be Ryan Donato stealing it from John Fergelli. Look at that composure to get it past the keeper into the
And
net.
the Sally, like I said before. At number 4, Brooke Bonsteel in the women's hockey game is going to thread it through to Lundvald, and she is going to deflect it perfectly into the back of the net. Quinnipiac won 2-1 in that one.
At number 3, back to Lafayette, Quinnipiac, it's going to be E.J. Stevens, and shout out to my boys Migos here. That's going to be Splash.
At number 2, back to the men's basketball game. Great offense leads to good defense. Aaron Robinson gets the steal. First dunk of his career. Look at the kid go.
Very smooth dunk there. And now at number 1, we're going to see Abby Cleary going to put a shot on net. Great save by Honor. 1-2. Going to keep the puck out of the net. Wouldn't matter. Quinnipiac went on to win 2-1 off of 2 very nice goals.
Oh, look at that save. That looks like a save I would put on you in NHL in the dorm room.
I don't know about that. Well, I'll tell you what. That wasn't even the best play in the game, I think, at least. I think there were 2 great goals in that game. One from Sarah Ev Katugabu for Quinnipiac and one by Dartmouth.
That was an absolute snipe. I did not think she had absolutely any room at all, and she just lifted the puck right into the top of the net. It was absolutely wonderful.
Needless to say, though, great save. Absolutely.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight's show. Make sure to follow us on social media at Q30 Television and at Q30 Sports to keep up with all things QU Athletics.
For all of us here at Sports Paws, we want to thank you for sticking with us for a great semester. We'll catch you same time, same place next semester.